Hi everybody, welcome back. Once again, here we are at Big City Studio with some fine people to talk to. Today I'm speaking with Vladymir, also known as Arkitex, with an X, I believe.
Hello, David. It's wonderful to see you. Thank you for inviting me.
It's our pleasure.
It's my pleasure too.
Golly, you live in San Diego now, or LA or something.
In San Diego, actually in a little village called La Mesa. It's in the foothills of this mountain called Mount Helix, and it's out in the country. It's rather pretty. I wake up in the morning and it's sunny.
And when did you leave here, Toronto?
I left here in '84.
Really? Was it that early?
It was by accident that I actually did leave, but that's how it turned out.
I just thought it was because, you had some great, wonderful music in the early 80s, which everybody loved. Mm-hmm. And you put that music out under the name of Arkitex.
I did.
Tell me about that. What was the inspiration?
Well, I'd made the first album under Vladymir Love is a Killer, and with a little label called Change here, and they were signed to MCA, I think it was Records. At that time, MCA pulled the plug on all outside arrangements and so on. So there was an album floating around, and I thought to myself, what do I do now? I couldn't particularly use my name, so I did the Heatwave Festival.
Yes.
And they said, what should we call the band? So I said Vladymir and the Architects. So after that, I thought to myself, I'll make this album, and I named the album Architects. And it made sense because I'm a designer as well, so it was sort of an inside joke.
That was my understanding. I wondered whether or not are you actually an architect or a designer? What is the difference, and which one are you?
I'm an industrial designer.
Yes.
So I'm an art college graduate, and these days, before that, I've designed things from cars to musical instruments to gas stations to housewares. I mean, I've done all of it, shall we say, at least once. These days I work with very, very high-tech companies that make medical diagnostic instrumentation, and they make electronic products that have some kind of computer chip inside it. So I work with PhDs and physicists and biologists, and I'm sort of their creative artistic menial.
I've looked at some of your design of household items.
Uh-huh.
I mean, we're a little ways from your musical career, but
Sure.
Some of your household items, like salt and pepper shakers or ashtrays, are amazing.
Yeah, I love that stuff. I still have this passion for doing things that don't have a computer chip in them, that basically have a material that you polish up and machine up and shine up, and there it is, and it represents a special moment in your life.
Yeah.
I love that. I think that life really is about how you describe life, and sometimes a beautiful object helps you describe your life on a higher level.
When you were at Heatwave, which by the way was the hottest day ever,
Wasn't it?
and you were singing First World Calling.
Uh-huh.
Did it ever occur to you that you'd be a great designer of all these things and your medical things? My goodness.
No, I was in Toronto and I was reading the Maclean's magazine. I don't even know if it's still out.
I'm not sure.
There was an article on computers and stuff like that, and I always like to look at the other side and see if it's amusing a little bit. So I started just writing. I got a job at the computer factory, and it all came out just like that.
Really?
And I don't think I ever changed the word. And I didn't realize that it was going to be a little bit of a future, how would you call it, a prophecy. Mm-hmm. And so it turns out that this is what I wound up doing as well. Although I don't work in a computer factory, I do visit a lot of them. I work with a lot of people that work in computer factories. And there it is. The thing about rock and roll is you have to live the song. Yeah. And I tend to live every song, so I have to take it easy. Otherwise I'll outlive the song.
So I'm trying to understand now. I know how much you love the music. Do you miss doing it, or are you secretly still doing it?
I like the secretly thing. I have a personal design studio in my house, although I have an office downtown. I also have a little recording studio. You know, these days you can do things on the computer. Well, I'm a computer literate sort of guy. So I have the equipment a little bit like this. So when, and it's all set up. So whenever I feel in the mood, I'll play something. I had a friend who came to visit me about 2 months ago, and he said, Vladimir, there's no music here. You know, although you have the radio. And I suddenly realized, and I said to him, that's because it's in my head. You know, I'm walking around and I'm either hearing something that somebody else has done or something that I'm thinking of, and I grab the guitar.
And from time to time, I know you listen to NYthespirit.com.
I actually do. In fact, you know, I now hear it online, so it's much cleaner.
Yes.
It's a really good station.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, I really enjoy that. So I have it playing in the background most of the time now.
Well, you know, we're actually waiting patiently for you to make more music and give it to us so we can play it.
I have a few things that are really very, very important and very meaningful to me. As I mentioned before, I tend to live the songs as I go along. I write down a verse or a line, and then I work it over. The interesting thing about writing songs, because I've written songs for so long, is you write the song and then you have to learn to sing it. And that's very, very interesting, is where you have to sing it over and over again until you've learned the words, and you can almost look in the mirror, look at yourself and do it without blinking. And you learn the song and you learn what the words really mean to you now. So it takes me a while, but when I do come out with it, I'm usually quite happy with it.
You had said earlier that you live the song. One of the favorite songs that I have of yours, and quite frankly, I can't stop playing it because I love it that much, If a Tree Falls.
Yes.
Tell me the background on that.
You know, that's an interesting story. I was listening to the radio sometime, and Bob Ezrin, the producer from Pink Floyd, he was talking about the Beatles, how impressed he was that they would write songs and they would go on without repeating themselves for like 18 bars. And I went, 18 bars, that's interesting. So I was sitting at the piano and I was just playing these chords until they resolved themselves, and it turned out to be about 24 bars, and it sounded sort of nice. So I kept that. I went down to my studio, I put it down, and I usually have some lyrics around, so I grabbed these lyrics, and there it was. You know,
You had the lyrics already written?
I had the lyrics for the first verse. So I sang it, and it sounded really nice. Then a few days later, I tried to do it again, and I couldn't do it. And I thought to myself, oh, it's not as good as it seemed. And then a few days later, I came by again, and I tried it. I added a second harmony line, and it started to come together. It actually came together pretty quickly. On that song, I actually played everything, so it takes a little bit. You have to learn the bass line, you have to learn the backup vocals, you have to learn what the drums are going to do. These days, I tend to study. When I listen to music, I don't just hear the music. I have to know what the hi-hat's doing and what the bass is doing, and it's work.
Now tell me about the lyrics.
The lyrics are actually about being a witness to someone's life. You know, you get to know somebody, and sometimes you have a special experience, and you say, oh, who can I tell this to? And you may tell this to a stranger, and they go, oh, that's very nice, but you call the person who was there, and you tell them that, and they say, I remember that. So you're sort of a witness to their life, and they're a witness to your life, and you both experience this passing moment. Wow. It's how it turned out. I didn't realize how meaningful the song really was until after it was finished.
It is absolutely beautiful. It is absolutely meaningful. And now that he's explained it, I'm going to have to listen again for the whole new story.
I also like the musical sequence of it. The guitar solo in the middle is actually very interesting. I was having my house renovated, and the contractor, turns out he was a musician, you know? Really? So many people are. So I said, well, come on over and let's hear you play. And he was really good. He was an older guy. And I said, well, here's a song, play this piece in it. So he went in there and he just played out this Pink Floyd-like solo, and I went, this is perfect. Thank you. And I like to meet people that are not particularly in the music business, and they're exceptional musicians. I definitely respect that. And I get them to play, and I think it's really wonderful too. You can do that.
When you were 15, where did music fit in your life?
When I was 15, I built an electric guitar.
Did you say build?
I built from scratch.
What?
I was living in England, in Hastings. At 15, the Animals had How's the Rising Sun out, you know, and I liked an acoustic guitar, and I wanted a guitar so badly, and I went to a record store. I grabbed a Stratocaster off the wall, laid it down on the floor on a piece of paper, traced around it, and it decided I was going to do this guitar, and I did. It was probably my first research and development project. I learned about the pickups. I went to an electrical shop and I said, I've got these two pickups and I want a volume control here and a tone control that comes out there. How do I do that? And this really nice man said, oh, you just do this. You buy this little component, you solder it to there, put it over there and do that. And I learned about the frets, the way they go out in this logarithmic scale. Purely from start, and I got to use my hands because I'm good at making models and stuff like that. So I got to paint and hammer in the frets and the machine heads on the end, and I built this electric guitar. I plugged it into an old record player, and there it is. It worked.
Really?
Yeah.
You actually got music?
I got music. Yes.
And did you know how to play a guitar?
Yes,
Okay.
I learned to play guitar in England. I've always loved guitars. Mm-hmm. My first hero as far as singers and musicians was in Germany, a guy called Freddie Quinn.
Okay.
He sang songs about sailors and their mothers and being lonely far away at sea. And he had this baritone voice, and Freddie was the best.
Really?
So he was the first, and then there was another guy called Peter Kraus, and he sang happy nubile songs.
So it seems to me that what you're saying is that the Arkitex part of you came first. You built a guitar so you'd have something to play.
I did. I built a few trials. I had a piece of wood with some string and stuff like that, and then finally I just decided to do that. And the hardest thing was really to get the paint. It had to be red, you see, and it had to be sort of a paint with a catalyst in it. I don't know if people are interested in this, but so I walked for miles, and finally I found a boat shop that had this urethane with a catalyst that you put in, and you blob that on, very, very quickly because it sets in a matter of minutes.
Yeah. I think that is an amazing story about your beginnings.
It is. So you see, my design and my craftsmanship goes hand in hand.
That's what I've just found
I
out.
always hammered and had a song in my head.
Yeah.
And this is how Vladimir lives.
We hope that you'll make us some new songs real soon.
I'd like to send you some.
I love playing The Tree in the Forest. I love playing First World Calling and so many other, Lincoln Walk and everything else. But now we need something new.
Aha.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
It's wonderful to chat with you.
You too.
And thank you all for watching the great Vladimir Rogov.
Thank you very much, David.
Guiding light tonight, and you say that you're spiritual, dancing in the red light, madness, locked into a higher cause only love can free. falls in the forest and there's nobody around. Does it make a sound when it comes crashing to the ground? Or is it just God's symphony for you and me? Hey, hello, I will be the witness to your star. A spirit in the face of destiny, enchanting and without fear, rising